Hi guys, it's ASBYT and this is the iPhone 13. Not the Pro, not the Pro Max, not the Mini, the forgotten child, the plain old standard iPhone 13. But it might shock you to hear that I actually think this might be the best iPhone for most people to get this year, and I'm going to tell you why in this video. And thanks to Smarty for sponsoring today's video. So when most people are looking to buy a brand new smartphone, they tend to break down the options into anywhere between 1 and 7 key cornerstones. Operating system, size, performance and or speed, hardware and build quality, battery, camera, and price. Some will focus on just one of these areas, others all 7, and the rest somewhere in between. So operating system is a simple one to start. Are you iOS or are you Android? And chances are if you're clicking on this video, you at least have some interest in you at least have some interest in iPhones, whether that's love or hate. But if it is the former, the question is then, which iPhone do you get? And as the software here is the exact same iOS 15 that you get right across the board with all models, the interface, the feel of using the device is almost identical to the more expensive Pro or Pro Max. That's a good start for the iPhone 13. In fact, the only iPhone this year that's cheaper than this is the iPhone 13 mini. But that then leads us on to the next key cornerstone, and that is of course size. You only have to look at the sales figures from last year to know that the 12 mini didn't sell well in comparison, with the 12 Pro Max leading the way, and the standard 12 and 12 Pro, both the same size remember, were very similar in numbers. So yes, even though the largest form factor does appear to have the largest allure, 6.1 inch here seems to be a pretty great size for a lot of people as well. The actual display is again almost identical to the 13 Pro, with one key difference. So the same Super Retina XDR OLED panel that is super bright and vibrant, but the max refresh rate is 60Hz compared to the adaptive 120Hz on the Pro. Now if you're coming from an older iPhone, then you won't really notice any difference here because 60Hz has been the standard for the longest time. But if you have used the 13 Pro or Pro Max models or countless Android phones over the last couple of years that have upgraded to this higher refresh rate feature, they do feel slicker on the scroll because the display is refreshing twice as fast per second. To the untrained eye, it merely looks like the iPhone 13 is lagging ever so slightly in comparison. Now, here's the thing. When you have them side by side, can you notice the difference? Well, yes, the iPhone 13 Pro Max does feel a little bit smoother, a little bit more refined, but gestures and animations on the whole already feel really fluid on iOS, so again, this will come down to priorities and preference. Is it worth the extra money for this feature? I would say yes, because I'm really into my tech, but for the majority of people, for the average general consumer, possibly not. Outside of the display, the rest of the build and internal hardware is pretty similar again across the board. Ceramic shield on the front, glass backing, similar button placement, same lightning port for 20 watts fast charging, so the only real visible difference here is the 2 camera lenses on the 13 to the 3 on the Pros, more on cameras later, the aluminium frame on the standard 13 to the more durable stainless steel on the Pros, making the 13 feel slightly lighter, and the glossy back, frosted back debate. I personally prefer the frosted finish on the Pros to the glossy on the standard, but you do get more colour options on the standard model. If that's something you're interested in, I would just throw on a case, whatever. And if you are enjoying this video so far and want to see more content like this, then tap that little sub button. Now internally, you do get 4GB of RAM on the standard 13 model, 2 less than on the Pros. Not that I've really noticed the difference, honestly, for the majority of tasks you use an iPhone 4, mainly due to the fact that they share the same hugely impressive A15 Bionic chip. These are the differences in benchmarks, and you can see the standard 13 more than holds its own, and you won't really notice any real-world performance differences, honestly, between the 13 series phones. And you can comfortably game on this device with some big titles, although the extra screen real estate of the Pro Max does definitely help in that immersive feeling. I do feel that Apple slightly missed a trick with the sizing of the notch though. It is now smaller due to the fact that they've squeezed all the sensors and elevated the speaker into the top bezel, but they haven't really done anything software-wise to make use of that extra space. And because the notch is ever so slightly deeper, when viewing video in an 18:9 ratio, which many people do now due to smartphone sizing, it cuts into the image by like a hair's breadth. Really not important, but it just feels a little bit slack when it comes to attention to detail. The mentioned top speaker and bottom firing one are excellent, something we expect now from Apple, and let me know in the comments if you can hear the difference in sound quality between the 13 and 13 Pro Max. Now, one huge feature that many people look for in a new smartphone is how good the battery is. And the iPhone 13 does have a 3240 mAh capacity, which may not seem a lot compared to Android flagships, but the optimization that Apple have implemented here in conjunction with the software and the chipset, the battery life has been really good so far, a fair bit better than the iPhone 12 from last year. But if you do want an iPhone with the best battery by far, in fact, the best battery I've ever had on a smartphone to date yet, then you have to get the Pro Max because it's just unreal, honestly. And that theme runs right through to the camera as well. If you want the best toolset for photos and videos, you of course go Pro. Colour temperature preferences aside, as an all-round package, they are excellent. But how much are you actually missing by going standard? Well, the obvious one is the absence of a third lens, which happens to be a telephoto one on the Pro and Pro Max. This means all zoom shots up to 5 times on the 13 are purely digital, compared to the 3 times optical up to 15 times total on the Pros. So yes, you can go further, and photos do look sharper and more detailed. Again, that's important to me, but if you don't often zoom in to take photos, you won't really care one iota. Outside of that, the primary 12 megapixel lens now has the sensor shift technology that was only available on the 12 Pro Max model from last year, and it gives the lens the ability to move, so if you are trying to capture movement in your photos clearly, it should help. Although portrait shots still, on any phone, including the new iPhones, are still nowhere near as good at capturing moving targets or moving subjects as the Pixel line of phones, even going back as far as 3 years ago. What Google have been able to do with their software is just unparalleled. I'm not saying portraits necessarily look better one or the other. I'm just saying if something's moving and you want that crystal clear focus in the foreground and that blurred background, then the Pixel line of phones just are unreal. And I'm super excited for the Pixel 6 line. I'll probably do some comparisons as well. Make sure you sub for those. And I know I often go on about moving subjects in portrait photos, but then I have kids, I have pets. It's quite important for me, might not be for you again. The Pro models do have slightly lower aperture, better for low light and helps with that depth of field shot, but honestly, it's pretty marginal and I don't think most people will really see a difference. And that includes ultra-wide shots as well. I did go into far more detail on the new camera features, battery life, and iOS 15 software features as a whole in my 13 Pro Max review video. I will leave that listed in the video description below if you're interested. So the way I see it, the iPhone 13 standard is a fantastic option for most people that want a new iPhone. If you're unsure about which iPhone to get and you're not crazy on spending the most and having all the bells and whistles and the most features, then I would strongly recommend going with the iPhone 13. It's a really good all-round phone and it ticks the majority of boxes without really losing anything major, in my opinion. And if you're on a tighter budget and those extra features don't really bother you, I personally would opt for the standard iPhone 13 and not the Pro or the Pro Max. Now, if you are looking to save even more money on any one of the new iPhone 13 series or pretty much any smartphone going forwards, then today's video sponsor Smarty can help. Smarty is a mobile network provider that sells SIM-only deals, so if you've bought a new phone, all you need to do is choose a plan that's right for you, and they will simply send you a SIM to plonk in your phone. They promise big data, better value, and they are not wrong. Just take a look at some of these prices, from 4 GB of data for just £6 a month to unlimited for just £20. My personal favourite is probably the 50 GB for just £12 in discount from £15. Smarty is owned by Popular 3, so they share the same network, speeds, etc., but they are a standalone brand with their own missions and values, mainly low costs, straightforward plans, transparent pricing, and flexible deals. All deals are 1-month contracts and can be cancelled at any time, and all include unlimited calls and texts, unrestricted tethering in the UK, no credit checks, and no speed caps. I will leave a link to all of those juicy deals in the video description below, so you can go through and check it out if you're looking for a great deal on a new SIM only, and you can also find out more about Smarty as a whole there as well. Go and check it out. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it and found it helpful. Check out my iPhone 13 Pro Max review up there if you're interested in that, and sub if you're new to the channel and want to see more content like this. I love you and leave you. I'll see you in the next one. Says Peace out.
Do just what you want.